What if I told you that one of football's greatest legends, Pelé, might have had an entirely different legacy if modern technology like VAR existed during his time? Could this man, who already made history by winning 3 FIFA World Cups, have won even more? Or would VAR have complicated his brilliance, changing football forever? Here's what will shock you. VAR might have actually prevented some of the most brutal treatment Pelé endured, potentially extending his career and adding to his trophy cabinet. But it also could have ruled out goals that made him famous, created controversies we've never seen, and fundamentally altered the flow of the beautiful game during its most romantic era. Today, we dive deep into one of football's most fascinating what-if questions. What if VAR was in Pelé's era? Would he have won 3 World Cups, or would the beautiful game have looked very different? Stick around, because this debate cuts across generations, challenging everything you think you know about the sport, its legends, and the technology reshaping it. Pelé, the name alone conjures images of magic on the pitch, of breathtaking goals, dazzling skill, and an unmatched record that still echoes through football history. Winning 3 World Cups in 1958, 1962, and 1970, he set a standard that has yet to be matched by any player in the modern era. Fast forward to today's game, and a completely new force is in play: VAR, or Video Assistant Referee. Introduced only in the last decade, VAR has sparked intense debates. Some hail it as a game changer, correcting clear mistakes, while others argue it kills the flow and spontaneity of football. But what if this modern-day tool had existed during Pelé's prime? How might it have altered the outcomes of matches, the flow of the game, and perhaps Pelé's very legacy? This isn't just idle speculation. Football fans love debating history's greats and imagining alternate realities. It's a conversation about fairness, technology, tradition, and the essence of the sport itself. To understand how VAR might have impacted Pelé's career, we need to examine the reality of football in his era and the specific challenges he faced. The 1958 World Cup in Sweden marked Pelé's explosive entry onto the world stage at just 17 years old. However, what many forget is that Pelé actually missed Brazil's opening matches due to a knee injury. He only played his first game in the 3rd match of the group stage against the Soviet Union. The physical nature of 1950s football was dramatically different from today's game. Defending was often brutally aggressive, with little protection for skillful players. Pelé faced constant targeting from defenders who knew they could get away with rough tackles that would result in immediate red cards today. During the tournament, several incidents occurred that would have been handled very differently with VAR. Multiple off-the-ball incidents involving Pelé were missed by referees. Offside calls were made by linesmen positioned far from the action, leading to several controversial decisions. Penalty area incidents often went unnoticed due to limited camera angles and referee positioning. The 1962 World Cup in Chile became a defining moment in understanding Pelé's vulnerability to rough play. He suffered a groin injury in the 2nd match against Czechoslovakia after enduring persistent fouling throughout the group stage. The injury was a direct result of the accumulative physical punishment he had taken. In the opening match against Mexico, Pelé was subjected to numerous heavy tackles that would likely have resulted in yellow cards, possibly even red cards, under modern VAR review. What's particularly interesting is that Brazil went on to win the tournament without their star player, demonstrating the strength of the Brazilian squad. However, one must wonder if VAR had been present to protect Pelé from the worst of the fouling. Could he have remained fit and led Brazil to an even more dominant performance? The 1970 World Cup in Mexico is often cited as the pinnacle of beautiful football, with Brazil's team widely regarded as the greatest international side ever assembled. Pelé was 29, at the perfect age where experience met physical capability. Yet even in this tournament, several incidents would have been dramatically different with VAR technology. In the semi-final against Uruguay, there were multiple penalty appeals that were waved away. Modern analysis of the footage shows at least 2 incidents that would likely have been reviewed by VAR, potentially changing the complexion of what was already a tightly contested match. During the final against Italy, several crucial moments occurred that highlight how different officiating might have altered the flow of the game. The physical battle in midfield was intense, with numerous challenges that escaped punishment but would likely have been scrutinized under modern video review. To understand VAR's potential impact, we must acknowledge the limitations of refereeing in Pelé's era. Limited camera coverage meant referees had no access to replay technology. Decisions were made in real time based on a single viewing angle, often from a considerable distance. Football in the 1960s and 70s was significantly more physical. Tackles that would be considered dangerous today were often seen as robust defending. This created an environment where skillful players like Pelé were constantly under physical threat. Offside calls were made by linesmen based on their positioning and judgment alone. This led to numerous controversial decisions, with goals being allowed or disallowed based on split-second human judgment rather than precise measurement. Many penalty decisions were made based on the referee's view from potentially obstructed angles. Simulation was harder to detect, but genuine fouls were also also more likely to be missed. One of the most significant impacts VAR could have had was in protecting Pelé from the systematic targeting he faced throughout his career. Video review would have caught many off-the-ball incidents that referees missed in real time. The 1966 World Cup in England provides a perfect example. Pelé was so badly fouled by Portuguese and Bulgarian defenders that he was effectively kicked out of the tournament. With VAR, many of these fouls would have been spotted and punished, potentially allowing Pelé to continue in the tournament and perhaps win a fourth World Cup. Several of Pelé's most famous goals came in situations where modern offside technology might have provided different outcomes. However, this cuts both ways. Some disallowed goals might have stood, while some famous goals might have been ruled out. For instance, in the 1970 final, detailed analysis of modern footage suggests that at least 2 of Brazil's goals involved marginal offside decisions that could have gone either way with precise measurement. VAR would have provided clearer decisions on penalty incidents involving Pelé. Given his dribbling style and the way defenders targeted him, many situations in the penalty area would have benefited from video review. During the 1958 World Cup final, there were at least 3 penalty appeals involving Pelé that were dismissed by the referee. Modern review might have resulted in different decisions, potentially affecting the final scoreline. However, VAR's impact wouldn't have been uniformly positive for Pelé's legacy. VAR reviews take time, often several minutes. This could have disrupted the flowing, artistic style of play that characterized both Pelé's individual game and Brazil's team approach during their golden era. While VAR might have resolved some controversies, it would undoubtedly have created new ones. The subjective nature of many football decisions means that even with video review, debates would have continued about what constitutes a foul, offside, or penalty. Knowing that every decision could be reviewed might have made players more cautious, potentially reducing the spontaneous brilliance that made Pelé's era so captivating to watch. Looking at Pelé's World Cup statistics through a modern lens reveals interesting patterns. Pelé scored 12 goals in 14 World Cup matches across 4 tournaments. However, detailed analysis of available footage suggests that several goals involve situations that would have been reviewed by VAR. While exact statistics aren't available, contemporary reports and footage indicate Pelé was fouled far more frequently than modern superstars, yet received far less protection from referees. Pelé won numerous penalties throughout his World Cup career, but he was also denied several clear penalty appeals that modern technology would likely have awarded. VAR's presence in Pelé's era wouldn't have just affected Brazil, it would have fundamentally altered football history. Several World Cup tournaments might have had different winners if VAR had been available to correct crucial mistakes. Teams might have developed different tactical approaches knowing that video review was available. The presence of technology might have accelerated improvements in referee training and decision-making processes. Stricter enforcement of rules through VAR might have led to better protection of skillful players across all teams and leagues. This hypothetical scenario reveals a fascinating divide in football culture. Traditionalists argue that the human element of refereeing, including mistakes, was part of football's charm. They contend that VAR would have sanitized the raw emotion and spontaneity that made Pelé's era special. Modernists believe that fair play should always be the priority, and that VAR would have created a more just environment for all players, potentially allowing even more brilliance to flourish. Neutrals might appreciate both perspectives, recognizing that while VAR could have prevented some injustices, it might also have changed the essential character of the game. This analysis offers several insights relevant to today's game. VAR's primary benefit might not be in correcting goals and penalties, but in protecting players from dangerous play that referees miss in real time. Judging historical players and performances requires understanding the context of their era, including the limitations and advantages they faced. Football's continuous evolution means that direct comparisons between eras are inherently limited, but they remain valuable for understanding how the sport has developed. Would VAR have changed Pelé's World Cup legacy? The evidence suggests it would have had significant impacts, though not necessarily in the ways one might expect. VAR likely would have better protected Pelé from brutal fouling, potentially preventing the injury that ended his 1966 World Cup, provided more accurate decisions on crucial goals and penalties, created a fairer overall environment for skillful players, and possibly allowed Pelé to have an even greater impact on football history. However, it also might have disrupted the flowing style of play that made his era so captivating, created new controversies and debates, and changed the fundamental character of the game. The ultimate truth is that Pelé's greatness transcended the limitations and advantages of his era. His vision, technique, athleticism, and football intelligence would have shone through regardless of technological intervention. What VAR might have provided was not necessarily a better version of Pelé, but rather a different context in which his talents could have been expressed and protected. This analysis raises as many questions as it answers. Would you have wanted to see VAR in Pelé's era? Do you think it would have enhanced or diminished the beautiful game as we remember it? The debate continues, and that's what makes football and its rich history so endlessly truly fascinating. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into football's most intriguing hypothetical scenarios.